hosting the video.
It's going live.
All right.
We're live.
All right. Just waiting to check it out on my end to confirm we're live. Okay, sweet. There we go. It's even playing some of what I just said back to me. All right, everyone. I am here with Adam O'Brien, CEO of Bitcoin Well. For those who don't know me, I am Julian Figueroa. I run a Bitcoin educational channel here on YouTube. And today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin Well's Q4 2022 financial statements and results. How you doing, Adam?
Good, man. Good. Hopefully you came with some good questions. What's up, CBP? Good to have you guys in the chat. Yeah, thanks for doing this, Julian. Looking forward to seeing what you got.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I have shares of this stock. So just so everyone knows, I'm not completely impartial to some of this stuff. But yeah, let's get over some key highlights. So recapping last year, which was for many Bitcoin and crypto companies a pretty rough year, as is usually the case in these cycles. You have the euphoric 2021 and then 2022, things slowed down. But immediately, as someone who has kept track of like the miners and other public crypto exchanges, Bitcoin Well has some kind of interesting results that are a little bit different than the mining companies and the other exchanges in terms of financial performance. So just going over the key highlights on your guys' shareholder letter here. One of the big launches from last year is this online portal now where you are letting people kind of buy and sell. Now you just added the sell feature. Buy and sell Bitcoin direct from your wallet, direct to your bank, e-transfer in a couple seconds. That's pretty cool. So you got 2,500 unique users on that, which is sweet. $190,000 of monthly revenue and growing rapidly. Revenue overall of 67 million in 2022 compared to normalized revenue of 77 million in 2021. It was actually, I think, 99, but there was like one transaction that made that go up. So not a big drop compared to what some of the Coinbases and the miners of the world have gone through, of course. And then revenue in Q4 of 2022 was actually higher than Q4 of 2021 by about $4 million. Gross margin of 7% for 2022 compared to 5% in 2021, an improvement there. And adjusted EBITDA of negative 0.2 million for Q4 of 2022 compared to negative 2.3 million in Q4 2021. And I think when I was going through financials, it was about a loss of 3 cents per share, which is an improvement over, I think it was 9 cents previous quarter. Expanded personal surface set to launch for spring 2023. So maybe we can get into that. 3,000 unique users on the online platform as of February 2023, and online revenues growing at an average of 145% month over month in Q4 of 2022, which is, of course, the online portal for buying and selling Bitcoin, not the ATMs. So, Adam, what's life been like over at you guys' end? It sounds like there's been this great push towards the online element. Obviously, the ATM business is kind of in this steady rock, but it really feels like through these shareholder letter here that the future is going to be this online platform.
Yeah, it's definitely the growth and sustainability or scalability aspect to the business. I mean, I think as you noted, like revenues are pretty like they're not as bad comparatively as our industry peers or other people in the crypto industry, which is nice. And I think it shows that ATMs are, as we suspected, a pretty steady cash flowing business unit. We can rely on those revenues. We're going to actively working on optimization of those, but nice to see that we have this kind of core stable business that exists within the organization, and our growth and our scalability efforts moving towards that online portal where users can, as you said, like bank to Bitcoin in less than 30 seconds. It's the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin. Actually, just this week, we dropped our spread to 0.21%. So it's now the cheapest place in Canada to buy Bitcoin online. It's really a growth business and that kind of growth business unit, which is great. And then as we continue developing on that portal, you'll be able to have people buying hundreds of thousands of dollars, like really instantly by funding an account through like their bill payment network or through EFTs in their bank. So really, really looking for a way to give Canadians a place to buy, sell, and soon use Bitcoin, all within a self-custody environment.
Yeah, so you guys did pretty dramatically drop the spread on that. What is the thought behind that? Is that like more of like a user acquisition play? Are you still able to make profit off of the current spreads? I think it's like 0.2% or something.
0.21,
This
yeah,
this
21
was it
bips.
here. Yeah, where I don't know who made this Canadian spread simulator, but
So that's C spread. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so what we're doing is we're taking our liquidity provider, adding 0.21% on the buy side and taking off 0.21% on the back side. That basically accounts for kind of like most of our costs. There's still costs that we have in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's full user acquisition. There's kind of like, I wrote a blog about this last night. You can see it at bitcoinwell.com/blog. There's different ways to grow. You can pay Google for ads. You can pay like reward scrapers, like, hey, sign up for an account and get $10 or whatever. Or you can reward active users. And we're looking to build a sustainable business. We want people, like, our product shines bright on the first time you use it, but it shines brighter on the second time. And we wanted to reward customers for having that second and third and fifth and 10th transaction by keeping the spread like lowest in the country, as low as we can possibly go, knowing that we can't be beat by a sustainable business. And I don't think anyone's really in a position right now to be able to do that. And it's because we have that underlying cash flowing business that is the Bitcoin ATM. So the thought there is pure customer acquisition, showing people there's a faster, safer way to buy Bitcoin in this country, and really trying to take that market.
Nice. Yeah, and I think I was looking at your roadmap here. Let me just pull this up somewhere on this page. Yeah, so just going over the roadmap. So Q4 2022, you guys implemented selling Bitcoin non-custodially, e-transfer. I think you guys do Visa debit online, which is great. And there's this push in like the other quarters coming up this year for more marketing strategy and things like gamification of user referrals, reward tiers. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, like the big picture of how you're going to onboard more people on this.
Yeah, the thought process here is, again, rewarding people for like good behavior or for things that we want them to do and pushing people towards that. So
Mhm.
whether it's using the product, like, I believe that users that want Bitcoin and that are comfortable self-custodying Bitcoin want to be buying Bitcoin frequently and in small amounts, and we want to reward users that do that. So how many times are you actively using the platform? You're able to buy and sell Bitcoin, which is great. A comment we get lots is, well, no one should be selling Bitcoin. And my response is, well, if you don't sell, then you aren't all in. I think someone who's currently watching, I may have said that too in the past. And then next to that is pay your bills in Bitcoin. Where we're going, our competitor is not so much Coinbase as much as it is Scotiabank. As we look to create this interaction, like this platform where you can interact with Bitcoin, all within a self-custody environment, but you have all the luxuries of the modern banking system. Right now, the banks, you can't really hold and use your money. You have a choice. You can put it in
Yeah.
the banks, which means you don't own it, you don't have it. It can be taken away at any moment, and you can use it, or you can hold it yourself and you have it in cash under your mattress, kind of thing. Neither are really great options. Bitcoin's the obvious alternative. I think if you scroll up there, you see that Venn diagram, and it's like, we're kind of taking this middle piece of holding money, which Bitcoin lets you do, trading money, which cryptocurrency exchanges let you do, and then using money, which banks let you do. And we're creating that trifecta, that kind of middle piece, to give users the ability to make Bitcoin usable.
Nice. Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about that. You and I, we did a little trip where they're using Bitcoin a bunch in Guatemala, but that's part of your roadmap here for Q3 2023, which is spend Bitcoin like cash. What do you mean exactly by that?
Yeah, so one of two ways, and if I'm being honest, like, we don't have the full details of what that's going to be. We've got a couple different partners that we're talking to right now, and we're actively engaged in what needs to happen before that's released. But it's one of two ways. It's either done through like a prepaid card. Now, prepaid cards are like, right now there's a bunch of like Bitcoin prepaid cards, but they're just fiat cards that give you Bitcoin rewards. That's an easy thing to do, and we might have to start that way. Just because of the confines of the existing financial system. But what I would love to do is to have effectively a card tied to a hot wallet of sorts, where when you tap the card, it kind of like creates and sends a transaction to the wallet that the user then signs, like a tap of a button with Face ID or a finger or whatever. And then that funds the transaction to then allow the funds to go through. So really allowing users to keep their wealth in Bitcoin until like just in time when they need to use it. I think that's the full shift. That's like the last piece, right? Because right now we don't really think about Bitcoin as a savings tool. It's more of an investment tool. It's like Bitcoin's up, let's spend it. But really it should be, oh, okay, I spend as little as possible while I'm living within my means. I'm able to save in Bitcoin. And when I'm spending Bitcoin, I'm like, is this coffee really worth the whatever, 55,000 sats that I'm going to spend on it? Or can I just go make one at home? And that's where that Bitcoin standard kind of, creeps into society, and our savings habits change as a species.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different ways to do it. One of the ones that has been kind of pitched, I know there's one company that I've worked with that's doing this called Bold, is they're trying to get a multi-sig wallet where basically they hold a key, you hold a key, you know that the funds are on chain, but you can borrow against it like a line of credit. Is that something like that you're thinking?
So we don't really want to get into the lending space, especially not right now. Well, lending, like I think anyone in lending and staking right now is just like, what are you doing with all the uncertainty by the SEC? But what I think is beneficial is if you look at like a Scotiabank, like I kind of said, you can get a mortgage and you go to a separate, Scotiabank mortgage. That's all outsourced though, right? It might be in the same branch, but typically anyways, those banks outsource that to the people that do that perfectly. Same with like trading. If Bitcoin Well is your bank account, think of it like your checking, your savings account. If you want to invest in other stuff, you go, through a third party kind of that way. If you want to borrow against your Bitcoin, you go to one of our partners that way. Maybe you want some collaborative custody. We've got a partnership set up there. That's kind of the future of the platform is really truly being that one-stop shop for everything Bitcoin, everything sound money, and then things that your money needs to do. We want to partner with people that we vet and that we trust to send those kind of like referrals to, I guess. And then as we find, hey, this is one that our customers really like, we could probably do it a little bit better. We can maybe have some more margin if we did it ourselves. Then we bring that in-house, but only once we know there's a market there. I think if the last 3 years has shown us anything, is that things change so fast. And if you rush, like imagine rushing to build a staking platform only to have the SEC be like, yeah, this actually isn't very good anymore.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got some questions from the audience here in chat. Jack asks, can we get an update on the Bitcoin savings plan for businesses, as well as an update on partnerships such as the recent Tahini's one and previous ones with jewelry and real estate partnerships?
Yeah, so the BSP, I love the BSP. The way that we're currently doing it is, so there's two ways that we're doing the BSP. One was the corporate, one was the individual. The individual one was pretty obvious. It was like we pre-authorized debit money out of your bank, and then we send you Bitcoin in that way. That wasn't good enough, and so we took that down. So if you're part of the BSP right now, it's still rolling. But if you would not, then you can't sign up for it yet, or not be active in it anyways. We're remixing that, and we're going to be launching that alongside our fiat balance and kind of when that comes into the portal. But then when it comes to businesses, that one's still currently live. We have, I think, quite a few, maybe about a dozen different businesses that are actively paying their employees in Bitcoin, which is super sweet.
Oh, cool.
I'm not going to lie, though, like Bitcoin number go up is the best advertising for the employer's Bitcoin saving plan. It is very, very, very difficult to walk into a business when Bitcoin is kind of hovering around, lows, or while we're in this bear market, and sell. Our efforts are definitely better spent building up the brand and having our personal services teams time going towards, helping out the people that need help getting into Bitcoin for the first time, those high net worth individuals that are a part of our Bitcoin Infinite program. That's where that time is going, not so much in the employers. But all that's going and being rolling right into the portal. My dream is that we are able to be a platform that you can receive your paycheck into and then just automatically like distribute. And like, let's say that one step further. Let's say you get paid on Friday and it goes into Bitcoin or into your Bitcoin Well account, and it goes in there in fiat. And then you say, hey, anytime I get a paycheck from this payee, from this employer, make sure 10% goes into Bitcoin. So that's auto converted, boom, sent straight to your cold wallet. And then you're using the Bitcoin Well card that will eventually be here. And you're using it, and you have a rule that says, hey, I'm a I don't want to eat more than $50 a month worth of garbage food. So if I go to A&W more than $50 worth in a month, make sure I'm matching that spend. And my punishment is I'm stacking sats, right?
Correct.
Every time I get a coffee, more than 3 coffees a week, make sure you buy $4 worth of Bitcoin, send it straight to my custody. And so that's kind of the way that, like, that's my goal and dream. I don't like the idea of having to convince an employer to pay their employees in Bitcoin. I more like the idea of having the user opt in, have them send their paychecks, their direct deposits to their Bitcoin Well account, and then they set the rules with unlimited possibilities from that fiat balance.
Cool. Dean is asking, how long of a runway does the company have with the latest cash position?
So
let's just pull that up here.
Sure.
I think, yeah. So current cash position is about 3.9 million right now.
Yeah. So right now we are burning around $150,000 a month, between $150,000 and $200,000 a month. So not super sure what the math is on that, but it's a pretty healthy runway, especially in this market. As you've seen, like if you look at our adjusted EBITDA over the last little while, we're striving towards adjusted EBITDA turning positive. Right before, obviously, the next step to that is driving towards our profitability going positive. And so what the strategy there on the capital market side is, right now at this depressed share price, it's obviously difficult and pretty punitive to do any kind of equity raise. So definitely looking forward to showing some growth, showing some sustainability, showing what we can do as a team at Bitcoin Well, and then getting that share price to being like, even if we were just measured the same as our peers, our share price would be significantly different and actually be in a position to be doing an equity raise. And so that's kind of what Q1 and Q2 look like. The last couple of quarters were spent fixing up the P&L. That's pretty good now. I think our P&L is where it needs to be. We can grow into this burn, and then now it's working on the balance sheet and our corporate structure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not amazing at reading balance sheets, but just from the quarterly adjusted EBITDA perspective, it looks like there's a bit of a flip.
Hopefully. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like we did some cuts. We did some cuts in the summer, which obviously was super tough and fully my responsibility. I think like other CEOs, we took the bull market and kind of figured it would ride a little bit longer, and so we were growing heavily and growing a little bit unsustainably. So we reversed those decisions. As you noted, Q4 year over year is growing. Our online business is growing. Our ATMs are in a good cash flowing position. We're revamping the personal services. We've got some exciting announcements about some geographical locations coming over the course of this year, and we're really expanding our market. So I think as far as all things considered, the company's foundation is super stable, and we're kind of moving towards making things profitable.
Nice.
I think Zuck said it. What does Zuck say? This is the year of sustainability or of efficiency. From my perspective at Bitcoin Well, this is the year of sustainability.
Nice. Yeah, just don't go investing in metaverse stuff.
No.
CBP guys are asking, what's the spread for buying at ATMs, and has that been adjusted?
No, ATMs are still anywhere from 9 to 15%. Obviously, ATMs are a different beast, right? It's not somebody looking for fast and safe Bitcoin, although ATMs are fast and safe. But the main advantage over Bitcoin ATMs is there's no fraud. The reason we need your identity when you sign up for an account at bitcoinwell.com, why everyone needs your identity when you sign up for an online account, is because of fraud. It's very, very easy within the legacy financial system to pull back money. In fact, 90 days. You can pull back money for 90 days with an Interac e-transfer, with an EFT. It's pretty ridiculous. And so with cash, obviously you can't pull it back. And while being an MSB, we are well within the regulations of FinTrack to be offering kind of Bitcoin at the ATMs under $1,000 with just needing to scan your Bitcoin address. So it's pretty good. And I think there's a premium obviously to pay for that, as well as the Bitcoin ATMs. They're a convenience product. It's not so much like you're not buying from Costco, which is probably what the online product is. It's more like, you're picking something up on the way home and you're stopping at 7-Eleven because you're not going to go to Costco to pick up, one thing of laundry soap, for example.
This is something that's kind of interesting. It sounds like if you're still doing well, charging 9 to 15% on the ATMs, I think unlike exchanges, there isn't that race to the bottom for fees. Can you kind of explain like why that's not happening with ATMs?
Yeah, it's a little bit of like friendly competitiveness. I think that all the ATM operators understand like, hey, we're all in this together. And if ATM fees, like it's just very expensive to handle millions of dollars in cash every single month. Like there's a lot of nuance there. Compliance, not to mention cash handling, not to mention like finding a bank that'll work with you. It is very, very tricky, but I think it's a necessary part of this. So, with the ATM business unit, we're looking at how do we make these machines work harder. As everyone saw last year, maybe a year and a half ago, we acquired the Bitcoin ATM software that we were using. That's allowed us to grow and expand in our partner program. Now, actively right now, we've got one of our team members currently overseas looking at different remittance products that we could be offering. How can we take a chunk out of Western Union with over 260 Bitcoin ATMs across the country? Is there a product that we can plug into in foreign countries where a user can, in Edmonton, Alberta, put a $100 bill in and then have that come out in local currency on the other end in like Vietnam or the Philippines, for example? And because we own the software, we have the capability to do that. And so that's kind of where ATMs go, is we have 260 pieces out in the wild. How do we make them more valuable? Is it with remittance? Is it with advertising? There's many different ways to do that. And it's kind of looking at squeezing. That's a very mature business, and it's squeezing that last mile out of it. So as far as the fees are concerned, I think people understand what the value of a Bitcoin ATM is. The operators, like, it's a different beast. Have you ever seen a 7-Eleven ad once? It's like, no, their ads are on the side of the road because you don't preemptively think I'm going to go to 7-Eleven to buy cereal. And so it's kind of that same mindset. It's definitely a convenience product that's there when you need it, reliable, and obviously good for a private user.
Jack is asking who the recent convertible debenture was to. Was it the Rhodes Corp?
Nope. Two different individuals. Both probably active investors in the company, but not that you've heard of before. I think we'll be releasing the full details of that shortly once we have final venture, the final venture stamp, which doesn't seem to come as quickly as as we'd like it to. But yeah, no, two new individuals.
And then one more question from. Was the last of the restructuring employee changes included in Q4, or do you think there's going to be more spillover in Q1? And do you think that EBITDA will be positive and net profit positive at some time in the near future?
So we're definitely driving towards profitability in 2023. I mean, obviously, there's lots of different factors at play, some out of our control, but the ones that are in our control, it's no holds barred here. We are flying towards making a sustainable business. And part of that is just is being profitable. I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend and a shareholder, and we were talking about that. And it was kind of like, hey, if we're profitable and the share price is 1 cent or $1, we're profitable. And so if whether or not the market can accurately see that, it's kind of doesn't matter. And so while we're kind of being, in my opinion, maybe unfairly valued or maybe depressed valuations in the market, it's a strive to get to profitability. People that are in the stock, and believe in us, hopefully we can reward them with the market then seeing our value later on. As far as spillover into Q1, I think most of the changes that were made in the latter half of 22 are probably there. There's going to be a couple nuanced things, as we get more efficient, as revenues kind of continue to, as we push go on revenues still. I think our change now will come from growth, not so much from cuts and expenses.
Is there a point in which you get to a place of net profitability where if the share price was still depressed, buybacks would be on the table, or no?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're valued right now at less than 2x our gross profit. Our industry peers being valued at 8 to 20x gross profit. It's hard to see an immediate 4 to 10x return on your money with a fair value valuation. So yeah, definitely would be in the future. Frankly, I hope it doesn't get there. I hope that we get to profitability and we're able to tell our story well enough that shareholders respond and our investor relations efforts, act and are able to perform. But yeah, if we get there, that's going to be a conversation that we're going to have for sure.
Yeah, one of the companies I was like really into, God, back in like 2018 was Galaxy Digital, and Mike Novogratz, who founded that, at one point he was mentioning on their investor call that they were trading at something like 2/3 their book value,
Yeah,
and then I think like 2 days later he ended up buying like 10% of the float, or like a big chunk of the open float. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
when the
that's and
deal's
so
there, it makes sense. But
we've gone through, like we've been a little bit proactive in that route. We haven't officially filed the form. There's the cost to file the form, but it's called a non-course issuer bid, and allows companies to buy their stock on the market. So it's definitely a card we want in our pocket.
nice. All right. I had a couple questions here, and this might just point to me maybe not understanding the core business, but I was reading in the earnings that you have loans to, or the business is loaning some of your own cryptocurrency, and it's paying
Uh,
you a fee.
those
Could
are
you explain how that works, or maybe I
those are use of
misunderstanding
coin agreements, and so
it? Yeah, maybe you could explain that.
we have a line of credit with a liquidity provider backed by Bitcoin, and rather than the company buying and putting up Bitcoin for the line of credit, kind of locking in our cash, I lent the company Bitcoin in order to kind of back that line of credit at one of our liquidity providers. And so that's what that, and because I am a manager or an executive of the company, we disclose that as, hey, just so you know, there's a related party transaction going on here where the company pays me a fair market rate for the coins that I've lent the organization.
Right. Okay. And then I think we spoke about this one point, but I kind of missed it. The company was loaned Ethereum at some point. What's that all about?
Yeah, our liquidity provider, they just need assets backing the line of credit, and
Okay.
so one of our use of coin agreement holders, one of the investors, I guess you could say, they wanted to hold ETH, and as hard as I could to talk them out of it, they elected to continue holding that. So all that means is we have ETH that we've borrowed from somebody sitting and backing a line of credit that we have drawn on.
Cool. And then I think recently, only like 2 weeks ago, you guys hired a new CFO, Luke Thibodeau.
Yeah, promoted from within. So Luke came to us. So our success CFO now sits on the board of directors. He's found a really good niche. He came obviously from Neo Financial. He was there for just about 2 years. He then came to us, spent a little over a year here with us, and he's kind of found that he likes getting into the thick of things, into a startup mode, helping them along the way, and then likes to move on. And so he's actually started a consulting group where he's going to be working with other startups, specifically, and I think specializing in the fintech industry. And so he's going to do that while still participating within the organization on our board. And all that was part of the plan with Luke coming up the ranks. Luke's been within the organization now for nearly 3 years. He's been working really hard. He got a CFA designation last year. He, of course, is a CPA and has been our chief compliance officer for a little over a year. It was a very natural and suitable progression into the CFO seat for him. It's been awesome. Even in the last month or last few weeks, watching him put his mark. I mean, the financials look beautiful. Him and his team did a great job kind of organizing all that, releasing them. Him and I have been talking a lot about IR over the last few weeks and our investor relations efforts and how those are going to look. So it's been a really positive move for both the organization and for Luke.
Nice. And then I believe as you released these earnings, there was a new convertible debenture.
Yeah, that's I
launch.
think what Jack was alluding to.
Yeah.
So that debt was actually raised to get rid of some of the Bitcoin denominated loan, the ETH denominated loans that you spoke about earlier. Having that on our balance sheet is super confusing. And so right now we basically have a Bitcoin that we have and we take into assets. We then put that asset with a liquidity provider and they give us a line of credit. So by kind of raising $1 of debt of new debt, for example, we actually have to pay back $2 of debt from our balance sheet. So it's quite accretive to be raising new debt at this name of the game, or at this time of the game. And so that's what we've been doing. So we're actively out there kind of on a rolling basis looking to just replace this Bitcoin denominated debt. Served its purpose, and it was very, very good for the organization at the time. Now that we're public, we're getting mature. It's a little bit confusing, tough to explain. I mean, you and I have had a conversation about it. It's a little bit like, oh, that's strange. I've never heard about that before. It's debt, but it's Bitcoin.
Well, you have to hedge it. That's the tricky part. That's what I've understood is like if you have Bitcoin denominated debt, to keep it kind of like a flat balance, you have to be short something basically to balance it out, right?
Well, to make sure we don't go short Bitcoin, we're long Bitcoin, and so we take that Bitcoin as debt. We then keep it in Bitcoin, send that Bitcoin to a liquidity provider who then sends us dollars on that. So it is quite convoluted. It's definitely not easy to explain to the market, to the street. And so getting rid of this Bitcoin denominated debt is part of the priorities. And like I said earlier, part of fixing the balance sheet, so to speak. Last few quarters were the P&L. Now the focus is the balance sheet and the investor relations.
Nice. And then, I don't know if you have any tidbits, but
no, I don't think so. I think anyone watching, I would love your feedback. I think that I put a call out to shareholders a little while ago. I'll do the same thing now. Like, I need our shareholders to be our biggest critics and our biggest cheerleaders. I talk to the team monthly, and we say similar things. And I would be really, really grateful if you haven't, please make an account. Send me feedback directly, adam@bitcoinwell.com. If you're interested in being an investor, please send me an email, adam@bitcoinwell.com. On the press release, there's a link to book a 30-minute conversation with me. If you need more time, that's fine. We're moving this in a really, really fun and an important direction. And we need all the feedback that we can get, and we need your support. So really, really looking forward to talking to more of you. And thanks again, Julian.
Yeah, that the new platform for buying and selling has been pretty lightning quick. That's pretty awesome. Last question, as I got to ask you this, 2023, what is your outlook? What are the lessons from 2022 in Bitcoin, and what are you taking kind of into the future? How do you think 2023 is going? I think everyone's talking about ordinals these days and all this other stuff. But what do you think is to look forward to this year in Bitcoin?
I think ordinals are a proof of concept. I think they'll probably die out. I think that 2023, we're just going to get back to basics. I think that, the whole market, the whole world is shifting from promises to production. Again, on the blog, I wrote about that probably 6 months ago. And this house of cards that we were kind of living in of, everyone had proofs of reserves, but no one had proof of liabilities. That should go away. And I think that we're going to see a push towards non-custodial. We're seeing a push towards self-custody. I mean, we saw some of our industry peers. We saw Swan Bitcoin a few months ago talking about being a Bitcoin-only publicly traded company and how that's good for Bitcoin. Yeah, we have that same vision. That's obviously why we're public and why we're Bitcoin only. So I think that it's I'm definitely excited for this move down the path of sound money as the world shifts into more of a Bitcoin standard, I guess, for lack of a better term. People understand the value of money. They understand that you can't just print endlessly and have no consequences. And I think that they're going to understand that Bitcoin is here to kind of pick us up off our feet. And as long as that Bitcoin is in your full and sole control, you'll be in good shape.
Nice, man. Awesome. We'll do one last question. Jack mentioned international plans. I think you touched upon that. You're looking to see.
Yeah. Stay tuned with international expansion plans. I tend to function on CEO time, which my team accuses me is not real time. It's I guess it's because I work 20 hours a day that I think everything happens faster than it probably does. But stay tuned for international. Definitely go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, sign up for the investor newsletter, bitcoinwell.com/investors. And the second I have something tangible to announce about international expansion, our shareholders will be the first ones to hear about it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone.